For all the latest reviews, interviews, and everything entertainment in Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam, and Telugu, subscribe to Film Companion South now.
Hello and welcome to Film Companion South. We're going to be talking about the top 10 films of 2021. And if you're wondering why we are doing it in 2022, because we kept waiting for 31st to see if there were any new considerations that we could have, which we usually miss when we make lists earlier in the year. So despite the pandemic, despite the decrease in the number of releases, it has definitely been an interesting year for Tamil cinema. And the biggest surprise of the year, honestly, the knock me over with a feather surprise of the year for me, was Anti-Indian, directed by Blue Satai Maran. He proved that he could make a coherent narrative with a dash of filmmaking spirit. Then we had the controversial Jai Bhim, which became a controversy for many other reasons, but personally speaking, it brought me the biggest brickbats and criticisms of my career. And then we had Paris Jairaj, which gave me some of the biggest laughs of the year, including a far scene which is one of the best I have seen. It involves a telephone call. And above all, we had P.S. Vinod Raj's Pebbles, which won the top award at the Rotterdam Film Festivals. It's a fantastic film, but the local audiences have yet to see it, so I cannot include it in my list as it's not been released yet, either on OTT or in a theater. But as far as the top 10 list goes, here's mine. At number 10, we have Nishant Kalididi's Kadasela Biryani and Arun Madheswaran's Ultra Violent Rocky. Both are revenge stories and both have very distinctive voices, directorial voices behind them. The most important thing to do in a first film is to show that you have a very distinct directorial sensibility, and both of these films do that beautifully without pandering to the so-called family audience. At number 9, we have Lokesh Kanakraj's Master with Vijay sparring with Vijay Sethupathi. The film did super interesting things with the hero template. For one, we began with the story of the villain building up his legend before we got to the hero, and secondly, the hero, because of his alcoholism, ends up causing the death of two little children. This kind of texture, this kind of risk taking gives you hope that there are audiences in the future for heroes to break their images that they keep clinging on to. At number 8, we have Nelson's Doctor, another film with a big hero that did a complete reversal. In here, we have Sivakarthikeyan playing serious from start to finish, and the supporting cast, the very wacky supporting cast, providing the humor from start to finish. This is another story that shows that the audience may be tired of being underestimated. At number 7, we have Madi Selvaraj's Karnan. There's a spiritual element here that is not very well worked into the screenplay, but the rest of the film is superb. Dhanush is in great form, and the interval block is one of the most moving and most inventive one I've seen in ages. And despite its mainstream trappings, the film is at heart true to itself, because even at the end, even at the triumph, there is a tinge of sadness. At number 6, we have Vasant's superb anthology, Sivaranjaniam Innum Sila Pengalum. I'm also going to cheat and include his Payasam, which appeared in the Navarasa anthology. Sivaranjaniam focuses on 3 women who are suppressed by and oppressed by patriarchy, and the shot making, especially in the episode featuring Parvati, is to die for. At number 5, we have Arun Prabhu Purushothaman's Var. This is a sophisticated philosophical film about finding yourself. It has a superb sense of cinematic craft, and the story about the homing pigeon I found very moving, and it shows how good the writing is. At every point, the filmmaking is so good that it's hard to take your eyes off the screen. At number 4, we have Leena Manimekala's Madati, which shows us that there are hierarchies even amongst Dalits. Now, this is the first Dalit film featuring a Dalit female protagonist and directed by a female filmmaker. So I'm a little surprised that the film did not make a little more noise among the people who write articles about these things. But if you can lay your hands on it, you should try and watch it, because the director shapes her narrative like folklore, like a horror story about the consequences of social injustice. At number 3, we have Maanaadu, starring STR and SJ Surya. Now, this is a rollicking and very un-Venkat Prabhu-like sci-fi thriller that just kept getting better and better as it went along. The screenplay is one of the best of the year. It is a masterclass on how to present complex ideas to a local audience, and it is also a masterclass on how to use a template that's already been used by Hollywood so many times and yet find something new. with it. At number 2, we have Franklin Jacobs' Writer starring Samudrakani as an aging cop. Character writing is very, very impressive. There are many characters that this first-time filmmaker handles with ease, both in terms of his filmmaking and in terms of his screenwriting. The way the central piece of this docudrama-like film comes together is both thrilling and shocking. And at 1, we have Paranjit's glorious return to form, Sarbata Parambarai, which has Pasupati as a boxing coach and Arya as his trainee. The film is both epic and intimate, and every character is written with a dazzling amount of detail. Every narrative point is written with a dazzling amount of detail. And if you ask me what my 2 favorite moments in this year were, it would be the one that I mentioned earlier in Master, which is the 2 kids dying due to Vijay. And in this film, the fact that the so-called central fight happens at interval point and is broken up. In the usual boxing movie, this fight would actually be at the end, but here it's at the interval point. The fact that our audiences accepted and cheered these risks in screenwriting shows that maybe they are perhaps ready for bigger experiments in the mainstream, and we can only hope that our filmmakers are ready for the challenge. Here's to a wonderful 2022 to all of you, and keep watching Film Companion South.